The air felt hot and dusty as the old brick building fell down. People ran away screaming while fire trucks and police cars raced to the scene with bright lights flashing and sirens wailing. The ground shook like an earthquake as more walls crumbled. Lily watched from the alley across the street, hidden in the shadows where no one could see her. At 17, she was small for her age, with tangled brown hair that hadn't been washed in weeks. Her clothes were dirty and torn, but they were all she had. Lily pulled her thin blanket tighter around her shoulders as the evening wind picked up. Being homeless for 3 years had taught Lily many things. She knew which restaurants threw away good food at the end of the day. She knew which parks had bathrooms that stayed unlocked at night where she could wash her face. And she knew when to approach a disaster site to look for forgotten items she could use or sell. But first, she had to wait until most people left. Lily's stomach made a loud growling sound. She hadn't eaten since yesterday, when a kind woman gave her half a sandwich. The smell of smoke mixed with dust made her cough. She watched as firefighters and rescue workers dug through the mess, pulling out people who were hurt. Some cried, some didn't move at all. Lily had seen bad things before, but watching people suffer always made her heart ache. Hours passed and the sun began to set. One by one, the rescue trucks packed up and drove away. All clear, she heard one firefighter say to another. We've checked every part we can reach safely. The rest will have to wait until tomorrow when we bring in the heavy machines. Lily waited 10 more minutes to make sure everyone was gone. The street lights flickered on, making the broken building look even scarier with long shadows spreading across the piles of brick and wood. She stepped out from her hiding place and looked both ways before crossing the street. Her worn-out sneakers slipped on loose pieces of concrete as she got closer to the building. Sometimes people left behind good things in their rush to escape. Once Lily found a wallet with $43. Another time she found a backpack with clean clothes that almost fit her. She didn't feel bad about taking these things. People with homes and jobs could replace what they lost. Lily couldn't. She carefully stepped over a fallen beam, looking around for anything useful. That's when she heard something strange, a sound so quiet that at first she thought she imagined it. Lily stood very still and held her breath. There it was again, a tiny cry like a kitten mewing for its mother. But Lily knew it wasn't a cat, it was a baby. Her heart began to pound hard in her chest. A baby left behind. How could the firefighters miss a baby? Hello, Lily called out softly, trying to figure out where the sound was coming from. The crying grew a little louder in response to her voice. She moved toward a partly fallen wall, stepping carefully over broken glass and twisted metal. The crying seemed to be coming from beneath a pile of rubble near what used to be the front door of the building. Lily dropped to her knees and began pushing aside chunks of brick and plaster. Her fingers scraped against the rough edges, leaving small cuts that stung. But she didn't stop. I'm coming, she whispered, not sure if the baby could hear her. Please don't cry, I'll help you. As she moved a large piece of dry wall, Lily saw something strange. A black leather bag with patches sewn on it. It was the kind of bag that motorcycle riders attached to their bikes. And not just any motorcycle riders. The red and white colors on the patch were famous. They belonged to the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club. Lily had seen them around town before. Big, scary-looking men with leather hammerites, tattoos, and loud motorcycles. People crossed the street when they saw them coming. Even the police seemed nervous around them. The baby's cry grew stronger, coming from under the leather bag. Lily moved it aside and gasped. There, in a small pocket of space created by a fallen wooden beam, lay a baby boy. He couldn't be more than 6 months old. He wore a tiny black outfit with the same red and white patch on the chest, the colors of the Hells Angels. The baby's face was red from crying, but he didn't seem hurt. Somehow the motorcycle bag and the wooden beam had protected him from the falling building. Lily's mind raced with questions. Why was a Hell's Angels baby in this building? Where were his parents? Should she call for help or try to find them herself? Before she could decide, the baby reached up with his tiny hand. His fingers wrapped around Lily's thumb, holding on tight. His crying stopped as he looked at her with big tear-filled eyes. In that moment, something changed inside Lily. For years, nobody had needed her. Nobody had looked at her like she mattered. But this baby, this little boy, who belonged to the most feared group in town, was holding on to her like she was his only hope in the world. It's okay, Lily whispered, gently, lifting him from the rubble. I've got you now. You're safe. The sound of motorcycle engines roared in the distance, growing louder by the second. Lily looked up, her heart pounding with fear. The Hell's Angels were coming. Lily clutched the baby to her chest as the sound of motorcycles grew louder and louder. Her legs shook, but running away wasn't an option. The baby needed help, and she was just one homeless girl with nowhere to go and no one to call. The rumbling of engines filled the night air as bright headlights swept across the rubble. One by one, motorcycles pulled up to the fallen building. Surrounding the area, Lily counted 10, then 20, then so many she lost track. The noise was so loud that the baby started crying again. Men and women in leather hammocks jumped off their bikes. They had beards and tattoos and stern faces that made Lily want to hide. But she stood her ground, holding the baby tight. A path opened up among the bikers as a huge man with a gray beard and deep lines on his face walked forward. He was taller than anyone Lily had ever seen, with hands big enough to crush stones. A patch on his leather vest read, "President." "That's my grandson," the man said in a voice so deep Lily felt it in her chest. His eyes moved from the baby to Lily's face. "How did you find him?" Lily swallowed hard. Her mouth felt dry as sand. "I heard him crying," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Everyone else was gone. They said they checked everywhere, but they missed him." She looked down at the baby boy, who had stopped crying and was looking up at her with big, curious eyes. He was under that beam, protected by the motorcycle bag. "I dug him out." The big man's eyes traveled to Lily's hands, which were scratched and bleeding from moving the rubble. Without warning, he dropped to one knee in front of her. Lily stepped back, confused and scared. Was this some kind of trick? "My daughter and her husband were in that building," the man said quietly. "They didn't make it out." His voice cracked a little. "We thought we lost the baby, too. But you found him when nobody else would even look." Lily didn't know what to say. She had never seen a grown man look so sad and grateful at the same time. Slowly, he reached for the baby. Lily hesitated for a moment before carefully placing the child in his grandfather's massive hands. The difference was striking. The tiny baby against the man's huge tattooed arms, but he held the boy with such gentleness that Lily knew the baby would be safe. One by one, every biker in the group dropped to one knee, just like their leader had done. Lily looked around in shock. There were at least 50 people kneeling in front of her now. No one had ever shown her respect before. Usually people crossed the street to avoid her or told her to move along. "What's your name, kid?" the leader asked, standing up again with the baby secure in his arms. "Lily," she answered quietly. "I'm Hammer," he said. "And this is Tommy." He nodded to the baby. "Where do you live, Lily? We'll give you a ride home. It's the least we can do." Lily looked down at her dirty shoes. The question made her stomach twist into knots. "I don't have a home," she admitted. "Not anymore." Hammer studied her for a long moment. Lily could see the questions in his eyes, but was grateful when he didn't ask them. Everyone had their story about how they ended up on the streets, and hers wasn't one she liked to tell. It involved a mom who drank too much, a stepdad with mean hands, and a night 3 years ago when 14-year-old Lily decided that sleeping outside was safer than staying home. "How old are you?" Hammer asked. 17. Lily answered. Then, because she thought he might not believe her, she added, almost 18. Hammer turned to a woman standing nearby. She had gray streaks in her long black hair and kind eyes. Donna, give her your hammerette. She's freezing. The woman named Donna took off her leather hammerette and wrapped it around Lily's shoulders. It was warm from her body heat and smelled like leather and perfume. Lily couldn't remember the last time someone had given her anything without wanting something in return. You saved my grandson, Hammer said, his voice firm. The angels don't forget something like that. As if to prove his point, the sound of more motorcycles filled the air. Lily turned to see even more bikers arriving. They parked their bikes and joined the others, forming a circle around Lily, Hammer, and baby Tommy. Word travels fast, Hammer explained. These are members from other chapters. They came as soon as they heard. A younger man with a red bandana tied around his head approached Hammer. The house is ready, he said, and Doc Miller is waiting to check the little man. Hammer nodded and turned back to Lily. We have a doctor waiting to make sure Tommy is okay. Would you come with us just for tonight? You need food and rest, and those hands need cleaning. Lily's mind raced. Every instinct she'd developed on the streets told her to be careful about going anywhere with strangers. But something about Hammer's eyes made her feel she could trust him. Maybe it was the way he held his grandson. Or maybe it was the respect he'd shown her when he knelt down. Just for tonight, she agreed finally. The bikers formed a line of motorcycles, creating a path for Hammer, who carried Tommy to a black truck parked nearby. He opened the back door for Lily. Your chariot awaits, young lady, he said, with a small smile. As Lily climbed into the warm truck, she wondered what would happen next. For the first time in 3 years, someone was taking care of her, but she knew better than to hope it would last. Nothing good ever did. The ride to the Hells Angels clubhouse took 20 minutes. Lily sat in the backseat of Hammer's truck, wrapped in Donna's leather hammerette that was 3 sizes too big for her thin frame. The warm air from the heater made her sleepy, but she forced herself to stay awake. Through the window, she could see a line of motorcycles in front and behind them, their headlights cutting through the dark night like a river of stars. The clubhouse wasn't what Lily expected. Instead of a scary, dark place, it was a big house with a wide front porch and lights glowing in every window. The yard was neat with a tall fence around it. As they pulled up, Lily counted at least 100 motorcycles parked in rows. People stood in groups, talking and waiting. They all turned to watch as Hammer's truck stopped at the front door. Home sweet home, Hammer said, turning off the engine. Doc Miller is inside waiting for Tommy. He looked at Lily. And for you, too. Those hands need cleaning. Inside the clubhouse was warm and busy. People moved around with purpose, bringing in food, setting up chairs and talking on phones. The walls were covered with motorcycle pictures and club flags. A woman with curly red hair led them to a quiet room at the back where an older man with silver-rimmed glasses waited. This is Doc Miller, Hammer said. He's a real doctor, not just a nickname. The doctor smiled kindly at Lily. Let's check this little fellow first, he said, taking Tommy from Hammer's arms. He laid the baby on a soft blanket and checked him over carefully. Not a scratch on him, he announced finally. It's a miracle. Relief washed over Hammer's face. He touched his grandson's cheek gently. His mom and dad would be happy to know he's safe, he said quietly. Then the doctor turned to Lily. Now, let's see those hands, young lady. He cleaned her cuts with something that stung, then wrapped both hands in clean white bandages. You're brave, he said. Most people would have walked away from that building, not toward it. A woman brought in a plate of hot food for Lily. Chicken, potatoes, and green beans. It smelled so good that her stomach growled loudly. She hadn't eaten a hot meal in weeks. The woman smiled at the sound. There's plenty more when you finish that, she said. As Lily ate, she listened to Hammer making phone calls. More bikers were coming from all over the country. News about the baby saved from the rubble was spreading fast through their network. By morning, Hammer said, there would be over 1,000 Hell's Angels in town. Why are they all coming? Lily asked. Between bites. Family takes care of family, Hammer said simply. And you saved our family. After she ate, Donna showed her to a small bedroom with a real bed, clean sheets, and a bathroom with hot water. Get some rest, Donna said. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. Lily couldn't believe her luck. She took a hot shower, her first in months, and put on the clean clothes Donna had left for her. The bed was so soft that Lily thought she might sink right through it. She fell asleep instantly. She woke up to the sound of thunder, or what she thought was thunder, until she realized it was the rumble of hundreds of motorcycles. Sunlight streamed through the window. Lily jumped out of bed and looked outside. The street was filled with motorcycles as far as she could see. Men and women in leather vests stood in groups talking and laughing. Many had patches from different states: California, Texas, Florida, even Alaska. A knock came at her door. It was Donna. You're awake. Good. Hammer wants to see you downstairs. Downstairs. The clubhouse was packed with people. They parted like the Red Sea as Lily walked through. Hammer stood in the main room with Tommy in his arms. The baby looked happy and clean in a new black outfit with the red and white colors of the club. There she is, Hammer announced. The room fell silent. This is Lily. She's the one who saved Tommy when no one else would even look. A big man with a bald head and a long beard stepped forward. My name is Bear. I rode all night from Chicago to be here. He pulled something from his pocket, a roll of money held together with a rubber band. The Chicago chapter took up a collection, he said, putting it in her hand. It's not much, but it's a start. Another biker stepped forward, then another and another. Each one had money to give. Some had other gifts, too. A warm hammerette, a backpack, a new pair of shoes. Lily stood in shock as the pile of gifts grew around her. These tough, scarel-looking people were treating her like she was special, like she mattered. We take care of our own, Hammer said. And after what you did, you're one of us. Now. Then he did something that changed everything. He took off his leather vest, the one that marked him as the president of the club, and placed it around Lily's shoulders. The room gasped. Even Lily knew this was important, though she didn't understand exactly what it meant. My daughter and her husband are gone, Hammer said, his voice thick with emotion. Tommy needs family. I'm too old to raise a baby on my own. He looked straight into Lily's eyes. You saved him. There was a connection between you two from the first moment. I saw it. He took a deep breath. I'm offering you a home, Lily. A real home with Tommy. With us, not just for tonight, but for as long as you want it. Lily couldn't speak. Her throat felt tight and her eyes burned with tears. A home, a family. After 3 years of being invisible, of sleeping in alleys and eating from trash cans, someone wanted her. You don't have to decide right now, Hammer said gently. But know this, you have over 1,000 brothers and sisters standing outside who agree with me. Your family now, whether you stay or go. Lily stood frozen, Hammer's leather vest heavy on her shoulders. 1,000 bikers waited outside to hear her answer. Tommy reached for her from Hammer's arms, his tiny fingers opening and closing. Lily felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. But fear fought against it. What if this was all a dream? What if she woke up tomorrow back in her alley with nothing? Can I hold him? She asked softly. Hammer placed Tommy in her arms. The baby settled against her chest with a happy gurgle. His little hand grabbed a strand of her hair, and he looked up at her with complete trust. Yes, Lily said, her voice stronger now. Yes, all stay. The room erupted in cheers. Donna hugged her tight, careful not to squish Tommy. Hammer's eyes shined with tears as he patted her shoulder. You've made an old man very happy, he said. Later that day, Hammer led Lily outside. To face the crowd, bikers filled the street in every direction, their leather vests showing chapter names from across the country. A hush fell over them as Hammer raised his hand. "This is Lily," he called out. "She saved my grandson when the world had given up on him. Today, she becomes part of our family." One by one, the bikers knelt down on one knee, showing their respect. The sound of motorcycle engines revving filled the air like 1,000 lions roaring. Lily had never seen anything so amazing in her whole life. 6 months passed like a dream. Lily moved into the room next to Tommy's, in Hammer's big house behind the clubhouse. For the first time in years, she had a place that was truly hers. The walls were painted light blue, her favorite color. A desk sat by the window, where she could do her schoolwork. Hammer had enrolled her in a program to finish high school, insisting that education came first. "Tommy's going to need a smart big sister," he'd said with a wink. Tommy grew stronger every day. He learned to crawl, then stand, then take wobbly steps while holding onto furniture. His first word was Lee, which made her cry happy tears. She spent hours reading to him, playing with him, and teaching him new things. The bond between them grew deeper than she could have imagined. The club members became her family. Bear from Chicago taught her to ride a small motorcycle in the parking lot. Donna helped her pick out new clothes and showed her how to braid her hair. Doc Miller gave her books about medicine when she showed interest in becoming a nurse someday. Most surprising was how the community changed their view of the Hells Angels. After the story spread, the local newspaper ran an article about Lily and Tommy. People stopped crossing the street when club members walked by. Even the police nodded respectfully when they passed. Hammer created a special fund in his daughter's name to help homeless teens. Lily helped him design the program, drawing from her own experience. "No kid should sleep outside," she told the committee of bikers who managed the fund. "No kid should feel invisible." On the 1-year anniversary of the building collapse, Lily stood with Hammer and Tommy at the site. A new building was going up, and the construction workers had asked the club to attend a special ceremony. Tommy, now 18 months old, wore his tiny leather vest and waved to everyone from Lily's arms. The construction foreman presented them with a special plaque that would be mounted on the new building. It read, "In memory of those lost and in honor of those who never stopped looking for survivors." Hammer squeezed Lily's shoulder. "My daughter would be proud of how you're raising her son," he said. "And she'd be proud of you, too." Lily smiled, remembering the scared girl who had hidden in an alley a year ago. Hungry and alone, now she had a family, a future, and a little boy who called her Lily, and reached for her when he was scared. That evening, as the sun set over the clubhouse, Lily sat on the front porch, with Tommy on her lap. He was getting sleepy, his head resting against her chest as she rocked him gently. The sound of motorcycles rumbled in the distance as club members returned from their rides. Hammer joined her, settling into the chair beside hers with a contented sigh. "Penny, for your thoughts," he said. Lily smiled, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. "I was just thinking about how things change. A year ago, I was digging through rubble because I heard a sound no one else noticed." Hammer nodded. "Sometimes the most important things are the ones most people miss." Tommy fell asleep in her arms, his little chest rising and falling with each breath. Inside the clubhouse, voices laughed and talked. Motorcycles lined the driveway like loyal guards. The evening air smelled like leather and gasoline. "And home. I never thought I'd belong anywhere again," Lily whispered, careful not to wake Tommy. "But now I do." Hammer reached over and squeezed her hand. "You saved one of our own," he said simply. "That makes you family forever." As darkness fell, lights came on in the clubhouse windows, casting a warm glow over the porch. Lily looked down at Tommy's peaceful face, then out at the rows of motorcycles gleaming in the moonlight. Where once she had nothing, she now had everything that mattered. A baby who needed her, a grandfather who believed in her, and 1,000 fierce protectors who would move heaven and earth, or even rubble for those they